represent this Juneteenth, and we're going to represent it right. So I want y'all to be able to understand why we celebrate Juneteenth. And I don't know, she ain't coming on wrong. So
let me back out.
Yeah, all right, okay. So there she go. Let me see. Let me get on in here. I hope we ain't having no issues like we did before. The devil is a liar on Juneteenth. Let me just say that. Because, I mean, I got to say it out loud because the devil is a liar. So that, as we know, we trying to get her on in here. Hold on. Y'all be patient with me real quick. It says accept. Shay, do you see it coming up? Okay, it says she unable to join. I hope we ain't having the same issues, Lem. But look, while I'm trying to get her on for this spoken word piece, Lem, hit us with some heat about what you think about. Because, see, me and you about to debate. Because, okay, let me just tell my audience this real quick.
Nah, don't do that. Don't do that.
You don't want me to do it?
No, we're gonna stay here. We're gonna let's enjoy today.
No, it's Juneteenth, and I don't like you being disrespectful. Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna keep it civil first, right? Let me see. I'm gonna try to get either one of them on now at this point. Because I'm trying to see who's gonna log in first. So I'm trying to get either one of them on. But the point is, okay, there goes Shay. Oh, told you the devil was a lie. Okay, cool. Okay, so Shay gonna come first, and then I'm gonna let my boy see that my boy Carlos he next. Right. So we got them all in here. So Shay, I'm gonna let you go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us. I'm gonna ask you a few questions first, and then once I ask you a few questions, you can go ahead and get started how you want to get started. So introduce yourself to the people, please.
I'm Shayla Robinson. As you said, Los, you pretty much said everything. I have a social work background. I've been working with students, parents for a long time. That's what I love doing. The creative side of me is I am a poet. I love poetry. And the thing that God has been able to do for me with my students is a lot of times, like, I don't even bring up that I'm a poet or that I enjoy poetry. It literally just naturally happens. And students gravitate to that. And I've been able to have like little spoken word sessions, with students, like either one-on-one or like in a group setting, like the position that I'm at now. Like we had a mini like open mic on a Friday, so it's like I can see how God is using this gift, even when I think it's just something that I enjoy doing, but I'm able to connect with students in such a deep way.
So let me ask you this. Tell me, what is Juneteenth to you? Is that important to you at all? Let me know what that means to you.
Yeah. Juneteenth is very important to me. Even before it being a national holiday, like you're going to catch me at some type of event. Actually, this is the first year in a long time that I didn't go. Because actually today is my birthday.
So, happy birthday on Juneteenth!
Right.
And shout out to my nephew too, little Aaron. It's his birthday too. But look, Juneteenth, happy birthday, and some more stuff. Keep going.
Thank you. So I'm always at an event on Juneteenth. I've been doing that for years. Like wherever I'm living, I'm peeping that out. I want to go. I want to be in the mix. I think it's important because I feel like every year I'm learning something different and something new about Juneteenth, just about my culture and history. So for me, it's very important.
Okay, I mean, well, look, without further ado, what you got for us? Tell us the name of it, how you came up with it, and then hit us with that heat. Everybody else gonna be quiet. We're gonna let you do your thing.
All right, so this one is called Navigating in Purpose. That's actually the book series that I have. Like the title is always going to start off with Navigating in Purpose, and it may be something different. Also, the name of my business that I'm starting up as well. And so this one is to my Black and brown young people. This is a piece that I wrote to them. So here we go. And I'm reading it, by the way. So if I'm looking to the side, that's just me. This is in my second book, actually. So if I'm looking to the side, it's just me reading.
Take your time.
All right. I don't think in boxes. I think in purpose. The purpose that God has commanded me to share with youth. Don't ever let anyone tell you what you can or can't do. You are a queen, and you're a king. Royalty is the only language that you speak. So they say you can't learn as much as you can in the classroom and outside of it, because they're not going to teach you about your true history. See, because they don't want you to know that you come from royalty, not just your ancestors who came from their respected tribes, but you come from God and you were created in his image and he makes everything good. So when they say you are bad, criminal, less than, dirt, tell them I am navigating in the purpose God placed inside of me. You can't destroy me with your lies, threats, and insecurity. I am me, Black and beautiful, growing strong for my community like a tree. I will be free from this world full of hate, injustice, and calamity. I will be navigating in the purpose God told me, soaring high like the eagle for my family, so they can see I am the answer to all of their prayers. I will be the change the world needs to see. Thank you.
Whoa! I love it. I love it. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for sharing. We
Justice and
really, really
calamity.
appreciate it.
I will be
How can the
navigating the
people?
purpose.
I hear a lot of feedback.
God told me. I do too.
So how can the people reach you? How can they get your books? Let us know.
Yes, you can go on Instagram at IAM_navigating. That's my business Instagram, and on that link that's in my bio, like all the books are there. I also have a workbook as well. Both books really, I try to speak, even though sometimes people say, you know, you can only just speak to a specific population. I try to speak to students and parents. So I feel like both of the books can connect with parents and students as well.
I,
So just go to the link. All of the products are there.
I really, really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for sharing and being bold and courageous on Juneteenth to bless us with that peace. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
No problem. Next up, we got my boy Carlos, right? So let me just school you on my boy. Now this is my boy, right? So the thing is, you know, we so connected because my name is Carlos with a K. So I got a Hispanic name. But this man name, so this man name is Carlos. Carlus, right? So we both got to be black and ignorant, right? When it comes down to our names, right? And so we met at a job that I worked in Atlanta, and then so my man was so inspiring, man. You know, with his family, every time I used to see him. But then when he came out with this movie, he came up with this movie, play, spoken word. My man did everything, and so I was so touched by this play. I guess he did spoken word that converted into like a video he did, and it was like a real like production where you felt like you was a part of it. And I was like, man, man, look, would you bless the stage for Juneteenth with one of your poems? And then my man did this. He came at me with the big joke. And he was like, well, which one you want? And so he gave me like 3 or 4 to choose from. I'm like, dog, come on, man. I don't know, whichever one you want to do. But I want to introduce y'all to my boy Carlos.
How you doing?
Yes,
Good,
sir.
see.
Yes, sir. So can you tell us a little bit? Just matter of fact, just introduce yourself and how you got started, please, brother.
To say how I got started, I'm an artist. I've been an artist my whole life. You know, that I come from a minister background. My dad, you know, a minister, a pastor of a church. A good 6, 7 of my uncles, ministers, pastors of churches. So, you know, I was always in front, always expected to carry the mantle, so to say. But I've always been a performer, always been an artist, and when I say came across spoken word because I had a family member, a younger family member, who has gone to glory now. But she introduced me to it. She did a spoken word piece at a New Year's Eve service and blowed my mind. Just the flow. I've always written poetry, but never spoken word is different. You know, it's different for everybody. But just the flow and the rhyme scheme of it, it just changed everything for me as far as how I wrote and really for my life, because like you said, my movie was based on a spoken word piece. There's been so many different aspects of my life that spoken word has infiltrated, so to say. One of the happiest moments, because I've always been an artist and pursued acting. I was hired by TNT to do a couple spoken word commercials that I wrote for TNT, you know, for Enterprise, for Kohler, kitchen faucets. So like simple things like that, but how spoken word, how poetry has just been a vehicle, a tool, and that's exciting to me.
Okay, so tell us what does Juneteenth mean to you? Does it mean anything? Like what does what matter of fact, let me just ask you a little deeper question, right? Let me ask you one deeper question. If I am Billy Bob Thornton, if you will, and, if I excuse me, if I'm Mr. Gilmore, and I said, excuse me, sir, what is all this fuss about with this Juneteenth? What does it mean to you, Carlos?
Earlier today, I walked into a little gathering spot. A lot of fellas in there, and I said, "Happy Juneteenth, fellas." And one of the guys said, uh, "What is freedom? What is freedom? It's just a state of mind." And, that totally caught me off guard. But I told him, I said, you're right. It is a state of mind. I said, but what we're celebrating here is the information that had gotten out, because even though we were free, that as a nation, free federally, so to say, that freedom was not in it was not embraced by everyone, because it was not known by everyone. It was not what we're celebrating is the fact that first you've got to understand, like you talk about freedom of a mind and being mentally free. You've got to know you're free. You've got to have the tools to understand what that freedom means, to be able to embrace that freedom. And that's what Juneteenth was. Juneteenth was, there were people working as slaves. There were people still on the plantation, and they were free physically. They were free. They were free by all accounts, but mentally they were still slaves. There was no difference for them. So being able to embrace that freedom first must come from a knowledge and understanding. That's where we are today, because we have people today that are free physically, but they too still have that mental shackle, so to say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Look, without further ado, explain to us the piece and let us have it, sir.
Well, the piece is American history. I had written something sometime back, it's actually several years ago, and I really liked it, but I felt like, just on the social commentary and political commentary, it was not up to date. And so I kind of, in the same theme of American history and Black history, I wanted to write something that was more in line with what's happening today. So the name of the piece is American History. American history. How did we get here? One of the youngest nations on the world stage, yet a global powerhouse since we came of age. But what happens when you turn the page and see America through the eyes of its once caged? The land of the free? Yes, truly. You see, we can both love this country and acknowledge its past and present cruelty, but we first must be able to discuss it fully. Since American slavery, for some, leaves a taste that's unsavory, they run from the topic, calling slavery benevolent and philanthropic. Nowadays, it's discussed as if it had nothing to do with us, with race or the complexion of our face, as if after 400 years of trauma, Black Americans were instantly given equal space, as if there was no Jim Crow, no land stole, no human rights case, as if racist rhetoric and other white supremacist bullspit doesn't continually get passed down from generation to generation since the day they invented it. As if we don't still get hit by batons, no gun, but shot in the back if you try to run. As if there was any reparations from a nation that still denies its place in creating a traumatized race in American history. There's no mystery that Black American bodies, the Black American family has been beaten and torn. We told you you're less than human from the time you're born until you die in the dirt. Family not allowed to mourn, and at the same time literally carry an entire nation on your back in the form of cotton, tobacco, and corn. Against all odds, Black Americans have rose through agriculture and industry, excelled in every aspect of science from botany to astronomy. Understanding that education is foundation, we create our own means to get a degree. When it was decreed illegal to teach black people to read by white people, we met under the church steeple, learned academics and self-esteem that we are regal, embody the strength and resilience of the bald eagle, and as leaders rose who chose to oppose status quos, America has found itself in the throes of reform. However, denying inhumane treatment has ever been the norm, or that white supremacy was a political platform, has exacerbated a shameful condition. Black history isn't just about black people. It's about America's composition. Please listen. Black history is American history. My history is America's history. But our history is lost if we refuse to pay the cost and look honestly at the horror of before. Let's openly discuss the centuries of trauma black Americans have had to endure, and look behind closed doors to shine a light on blood-stained floors. There you'll see the birth of Harriet Tubman, Booker T. Washington, and John Lewis. There you'll witness the feats of Dr. Daniel Hale Williams, Mom Bet, and Dred Scott. There you'll understand the mind of Marcus Garvey, the mind of Marcus Garvey, Angela Davis, and Frederick Douglass. The depth of James Baldwin, Huey P. Newton, and Maya Angelou. There you know the pain of America's black mothers, the pride of America's black people. There we as a nation can confront our nation's evil. They say the truth shall set you free. They fear it'll be lethal. But my people, the truth doesn't place blame or spew hate. The truth doesn't seek division, disdain, nor debate. The truth acknowledges pain so we can find ways to relate. And let me state, Juneteenth is not a black holiday. Juneteenth is not about black history. Juneteenth is an American holiday. Juneteenth is an American history. We as a nation must continue to teach and learn America's black history, understand America's black history. We as a nation need it to heal. For I quote, those that fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Winston Churchill. Thank you.
Ooh! Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes.
Man.
Thank you.
So, I mean, man. Okay, so what I'm trying to understand is the passion started because you always been an artist, right? For you and Shay. This is a question for both of y'all. So the passion started when y'all were younger, right? So how do you continue to develop this passion called poetry? Like me, I wrote a couple lines to, my high school sweetheart a couple times, and I wrote a couple poems to my wife. She said, man, this was trash. But all I'm saying to you is I'm just trying to understand, how do you get so deep with the wordplay, and what goes into this? Could y'all share?
Go ahead, Shay.
Shay not looking like she getting good service.
Okay. It's kind of like what I was saying, that like I had a piece that I had written before that I really liked, that dealt with black history, it dealt with our accomplishments, and I really enjoy a piece. I like it, and on the scale of things, no one's heard that piece. On the whole scale of things, no one's heard it. It's a few people have. I've done it at events locally in the South, but no one's really heard it. But I wanted to write something that was relevant. And so it's like, and I'm always wanting to be relevant. I'm always wanting to be, I want my words to be relevant to not only, regardless what generation you're from, we have the XYZs and everything else now, but I want to always, I feel like I have something to say. I guess that's what it boils down to. I feel like I have something to say, and that my words carry weight. And so my poetry is a direct reflection of that.
No, I love it. Shay, any feedback? Because I know her phone going in and out. She might have to reconnect. So my thing is, I want to dive into a little bit deeper of the whole mistreatment of black people, right? Because to be honest with you, it's a lot of people that's going to hear this, whether they're on live right now or whether they listen later on YouTube, right? And I want to really take time out to give some clarity on why black people are still gun-ho on talking about slavery. That happened that happened a long time ago, right? And so shouldn't you people Shouldn't you people learn from what happened before? Why can't you unify? So I want to get your opinions, Lim, or whoever want to jump in. I want to get your opinions on slavery, what it meant to Black people, and why are we still struggling to come together? I know that's a deep question, but it's fully loaded. But I just want your opinion just to bring light on slavery and why it's still something we talk about. Why is it something we still harp over? Is there any coming back from it?
I have two very specific responses to that. One, it wasn't that long ago. That's first and foremost. It was not that long ago. Um, Two, I come from a science background. Come from the mental health field, and uh, 30 years of work in mental health. The last 10 years of my career, I focused on specifically eating disorders. But in the process of that and understanding, something I learned about was called epigenetics and how trauma is hereditary. In the spoken word piece, I said something about creating a traumatized race in American history. Trauma is passed from generation to generation. Trauma is in your DNA. Trauma, it is proven by science, by research, that trauma is passed on, just like high blood pressure, just like diabetes. So when you look at the traumatic experience of slavery, you look at the extent of that traumatic experience for hundreds of years, you cannot say that that trauma has not been passed down through us. When you look at what families, Black families endured, Black families, Black bodies endured, when you look at how the family of a Black man cannot fall in love with his child. He cannot fall in love with his woman. They can be taken from him at any second. That the understanding of that to the degree of he cannot develop those mental connections. He cannot afford to. He cannot. The mothers had difficult times being able to develop those mental connections because they knew that child's going to be ripped from them. There's so many different aspects of that, and I think that trauma, the physical trauma, the mental trauma of being less than the family dog for hundreds of years in this country, that is something that has been passed down. And until we truly understand our history, truly understand what we've experienced and what we have endured and what we have succeeded and accomplished in spite of, until we truly are able to embrace that, I think we're stuck in this place of having arguments about you people.
You people, I love it. Okay, lead me to my next question. I'm here to shake the boat, right? My next question is, what would you say, Lim, to somebody that says, well, what's the difference between slavery and the Holocaust? We was able to bounce back. What is your input
Oh, I'm ready.
on
You
that?
ready? Yeah. So, well, one, the Holocaust didn't happen on United States soil. That blood was shed in another country. And guess what? They still paying the Jews reparations in all sorts of forms and fashions. They're still getting paid. And three, there no one's offended by the Holocaust. They have out here in Los Angeles specifically, we got a huge Holocaust museum on Pico in West LA. And no one gets offended by them allowing them to share and beloved and just embrace their heritage. But you know, when you talk about Black folks, and I've seen this, and you talk about us, I've seen it so many times. If you mention the word reparations, you get people that get right out indignant. How dare you expect us to pay for something that we didn't participate in? Is the prevailing thing. How dare you want to keep looking back at what we did to you? How dare you? They don't say that to the Jews. They don't say, how dare you? They say, come on, let's embrace the fact that, yes, we hurt you. And look at all the money that they send to these different countries, foreign aid for this and that. They bomb them, then feed them, bomb them, then send checks. So it's not about do we have the money. It's the validation. If we end up doing this, then it's no way you can wiggle around it. I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say it how I feel it. We fucked up. We fucked the fuck up, and we by paying. That's how corporate America admits when they're wrong. Governments, they pay. Everything else is lip service, giving you a school, giving you, symbolism. The Obamas. I'm for nobody to offend the Obamas, but that was symbolic. to have a black president. They talked about it on Good Times. Michael asked his mother, Mama, do you think there'll ever be a black president? That was in 1976 when that show aired. So we got all the symbolism you could imagine. We've got athletes, we've got celebrities. They got money, they're doing well, but when you become an elite in that field, there becomes a separation, and that's by design to separate you economically from your people. So you move over there, and your people stay over here. So it's a loaded question, but what I will say is, back to the Holocaust. That there's no disrespect to what happened to those people. That was wrong. It was wrong. But their struggle in another country, we struggled here. And like my brother said, the psychological effects, the ramifications, how we still treat one another, it has lingered on. The generational challenges and concerns and issues that we have, how we look at ourselves, it still lingers on. So I absolutely 1,000% agree. I'll let someone take over the stage.
I really appreciate it. So let's go here with it then. Cause see, to me, I love to talk about solutions. I'm solution based, me personally, right? So we heard what you said, and we know it's not right. We compared it to the Holocaust and everybody else that were enslaved. and we helped build the country. We hear you. We really appreciate your spoken word. So Shay, what do you think? Okay, let me give you a real life scenario, right? I'm President Biden. I'm on my way out, but I want to be able to do something for the black people. And I get this mic and I pass it to you, right? And I say, okay, it's your turn. What is your solution for us as a nation to be able to help the black people unify or to be able to fix the issue? Because we sorry. Ready, go.
So I was seeing something. I want to share what I saw in the last couple of days, and then I'll try to answer that. I seen something that said that everybody can't go. Basically saying that as a black community, we want everybody to be on board. We want everybody to be on the same page. And this particular person was saying not necessarily that isn't that can't happen, but it's just that everybody might not be on the same page. Everybody might not be able to go. So you take these 5 people that you agree with that's on the same page, and y'all go do something for the community. And I was like, because just from what I'm seeing and from what we've already talked about right now, I can't say I disagree with that person, because there are a lot of layers to our experience. There is the trauma for sure. There is, like we're saying, like, you have to know that you're free. We don't even know that we've been traumatized, really. We just recently started talking about that. So it's complicated, it's complex, but at the same time, with them saying, just take the 5 people that you can agree with, that you're on the same page with, let's use this money to directly have solutions for our community. So I think it needs to start very, very close to home.
I really appreciate it. My follow-up question to this, anybody else that feel free that want to jump on live, we want to smoke. So this another one right here. But are we really truly free? Are we really, really free? I'm talking about, this is 2024, right? So I want y'all to think about this. Are we really free? Because guess what? We do all this complaining. We did all of this. Now we got black billionaires now. We had a black president. We got some black leaders. Are we really free? And so I want to just throw that question out here too. Whoever want to grab it up and go ahead and tackle that one. Are we really truly free, in your opinion? This is all opinion based. And the objective of this show, just to let y'all know, is to have different perspectives. That's why we got men and women here. We want to hear a woman's point of view. We want to hear a man's point of view. We want to hear black people. And I really wish it was some smoke from somebody that was not black either, to be able to ask some real life questions. And so no argument. What I want to do is really be able to address this whole Juneteenth thing, because you got 4th of July coming up, and some people still believe in that. You got veterans that honor this but don't honor that. So this is why we're talking about real freedom. I know specifically the Bible says something about he that the Son sets free is free indeed. But are we free as Black people? What do we believe about that?
I'll jump in. I think freedom, is a subjective word. If you're speaking physically free, if you've ever been locked up before, then and you aren't, then yes, you are free. You've ever been behind a closed door that you didn't have a key to? Put it like that. If you have ever been behind a closed door that you did not have a key to, and now you are outside of that space, then you can understand freedom. And that's a type of freedom. I am a very free person. But I think we are in bondage in so many aspects concerning our beliefs. In a sense, like what you said about not knowing that we're free, not understanding. Like, if I feel like we are in bondage to a system. I believe that so many of us are easily corralled, easily put in place by simply saying, this is what the law is, this is what the system is. There are things that I've experienced in my life that I did things that were against the law, and I was breaking the law for 2.5 years. And then the law caught up with me, apologized to me, and totally wiped my slate clean. And I'm speaking of a system. At the time, it was a child support system. That was the system that I was in. That system had put something over my head. That system had told me that I was illegal. That system I was in bondage to that system for 2.5 years. And at the end of that 2.5 years, I finally was able to get set free, and they totally washed my slate clean, said our fault, our mistake. Every bit of that was washed away. My back pay, everything. But for 2.5 years, I was in bondage. And if I had just submitted to that, then my life would have been a certain way. But I refused to submit to what the system says. I refuse to allow myself just to follow it because they say it's what you're supposed to do. And so many of us do that. So many of us fall in line with the system, not recognizing the system was not built for us, and it does not have our best interests in heart. And until we are able to speak for ourselves, not needing a leader, but to speak openly for ourselves, to see things for ourselves, to research it for ourselves, to understand it for ourselves, with the mindset of that we are capable. I don't need anyone else's validation to believe what I believe. And in this, I feel like in this day and time, so many of us are seeking validation. We're seeking for someone to tell us that it's okay to be ourselves. It's okay to be Black, and as long as we fit into the model of what being Black is, of course, the mainstream model, as long as you fit into that productive member of society, that model, or even the Black Twitter model. But there's so many of us that are outside of that, and I feel like there's a lot of us that are inside of it and are in bondage. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
It makes sense. We are subjected to the system, right? And so you got to think outside the box and be outside the box and be the change you want to see. Carlos thinks, and I'm pretty sure this will provoke the argument, but now this is the next question without me even going there, but do we believe we need a leader, or do we believe we can individually think outside the box to be able to come up with a solution, right? Do we come together collectively to say we won't change, or do we follow protocol to be able to have a leader? Because with all due fairness, we always had a leader and a spokesperson, right? And I go all the way back from W.E.B. Du Bois, Martin Luther King, Booker T. Washington, Malcolm X. It was always somebody, whether it was you believing this side or siding with this side, it was always a spokesperson, right? So I'm throwing it out to the group to say, do you feel we need a leader in Black leadership, or could we collectively come together for a change to say individually, he said, outside of the box, and think outside of the box and be who you gonna be and just be Black, how you want to be Black. What do we believe? Because see, me and Lim got in an argument earlier about the the honorable Dr. Umar Johnson. We got in an argument earlier about this, right? Because I see, to me, I believe in change, right? So if you trying to do the right thing or you trying to come up with a plan, that's better than somebody that don't have a plan. My man Carlos got a beautiful family, right? 5 beautiful girls, and I'm pretty sure there is one of his daughters may want to make this decision, and the other one may want to make this decision. And his job is to try to guide them along the path, not to try to make them make a decision based on what the other sister is doing. So we all are individuals. So my question to you, shaking the dice, is do we need a Black leader? Or could we do it collectively like Black Lives Matter? I know that's a bad example, but Black Lives Matter coming all together and say, we marching for the wrong purpose. What do y'all think?
Here, let me jump on this right quick. Let me jump on. So I want to piggyback to what the brother was with the last question. I'm gonna answer this question. So if you've ever been in a room, any room, with your own people and had the thought that you were better than them, you're not free. If you've ever been in a room with a bunch of white folks and thought, I need their validation, affirmation, you're not free. So that's real simple. Those two things, we should make it, a child can understand that. If you go in this room and you think you're better than them, you're not free. You go over here and you want them to approve you and make you and validate you. So now to answer the question about the leadership. And since you brought up Dr. Umar, let's talk about Dr. Umar. So Dr. Umar has been compromised by the fact that he has allowed himself to use a lot of salacious jargon to get views. And I'll give you an example of what I mean salacious jargon. I'm talking about when he's talking about, snow bunnies and this, that, and the third. That is salacious. I like a lot of the things that he says and he does. It's just when he gets into in my point of view, hypocrisy as it pertains to the fact he's not married to a Black queen and he has 2 daughters, according to him, out of wedlock. That's the only problem I had with that. Now, as far as leadership, one person to lead all of us. Well, here's the challenge. We don't all agree, like the sister said earlier. We are not a monolith as Black folks. You got Black elites who think they're better because they have economic stability, power, and authority, and they're sitting right in front of the white man guarding that part, which is the old W.B. Du Bois thought process. If you know history of him and Marcus Garvey. Then you got those who says, well, I'm a Republican, I'm a Black Republican. So by definition of being a Black Republican in a capitalist society, there's a lot of things I don't agree with my own people. So, and Rome brought up a great point. I don't know if you remember this, Los. He even said when Dr. King and all of us was marching in those days, not all Black folks was marching behind Dr. King, right? And not all Black folks was marching behind Malcolm X and them. There was people who didn't believe what any one of those was saying and was going their own way based upon their own thought process. So here's the thinking. Even if we can't get everybody to come along, we've got to hold the line, right? And go forward then, even if you can't get a leader. Because here's the problem with leaders. I'm going to be honest with you guys. People fail. People are infallible. They have issues and problems in their own life. So to ask one person to galvanize 40 million Black folks, it ain't fair to that person. And why? Because more than any time in the history of the world, we can see you know what? It's in front of us. You slip up one time, social media got you. There's no hiding your problems and your issues. And as soon as that happens, there's always one person in the background. See, I told you. I told you he wasn't. I told you she wasn't. So that part of it, I think it's gonna. Here's the thing. Right now, you give me you guys answer this question. Who is the leader of the Jews? Who's the leader of Caucasians? Who's the leader of Middle Eastern Iran? Right now, none of those people have a Malcolm X or a Dr. King. But yet, they don't agree all the time, but they seem to get shit done when it comes to this system. They all agree on that. Whether you're talking about Zionists, whether you're talking about Jews, whether you're talking about Middle Eastern, when it comes to us, at least I can say us, and us not going as far as they want us to go, they in agreement. Now they may disagree on some other stuff, but that they don't. I'll land my plane right there. Thank you guys for letting me share.
Yeah, please land that plane. Let's crash that plane 9/11. Because let me say this real quick before I let Shay and Carlos jump on in the mix. Right, me personally, this is my personal opinion. Right, I think all the way from the beginning, even if you know whether you believe it or not, let's just take biblically for a prime example. It always was a leader from Moses of the world to David of the world. We had kings. And then when they went to the whole thing, we don't want no king. And then everything went in whole chaos, right? And then so if you think about right now, all I'm saying to you is you gotta believe something, right? It has to be someone to galvanize what we believe in. And it doesn't, like you said, it could start, Shay said, it could be 5. Because right now, all I'm saying to you is we need a wave of a change. And he asked, who is the leaders of the Jews? You know what? The Jews didn't go through what we went through in this country, and we built it. And they still didn't change a lot of the laws that was created against us. So what I'm saying to you is with the trauma that Brother Carlos spoke about, this is something that we never addressed. Guess what? If you got a kid of your own right now, and I know this is a sensitive topic, and me and Carlos both was in mental health, right? If you got a kid right now that's suffering with some mental illness and you try to ignore it, what's going to happen? It's going to get worse and worse and worse. And then if I don't deal with it at all, I don't address it, we don't do any therapy, medication, nothing. It's going to get worse and worse. You're going to start self-medicating. And this is what's happening to us. Our grandfather has dealt with trauma that's been passed over, whether you deal with it directly or indirectly, and it was never addressed. And so when he said that's extremely unfair when he says they don't need a leader, we've been brainwashed. They didn't even teach us to read. We couldn't even read. We couldn't even do something as simple as read or pray or have a safe night with our wife without her getting raped and taken the next day or the next morning. That is extreme trauma. And to this day, you get a felony or you get in a dispute with your girl and you in jail, felony. It's a new day and era of slavery. So, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Normally, I'm the moderator. I get in the mix, right? But I'm trying to shake the boat because what I want you to understand is the change is happening in you. You got to be the change you want to see. Michael Jackson said that song a long time ago, right? You got to start with the man in the mirror. So the change you want to see with our people, it starts with you. And that's why I love these two that was able to come with some poetry, because they said at the end of the day, I'm an artist. I'm going to use my gift to be able to galvanize the people that want to hear what I have to say. And what I'm going to do is the same. So, and I'm going to lead with love. I don't care what you believe. I'm going to lead with love. Whenever you see Lowe's, you know that I love you. I don't care if you're the opposite of me, you hate me, because you overcome evil by doing the opposite. That's my personal opinion. Go ahead. What you think?
I want to, I think, listening to as you were talking about your view on leadership, it sounds as though you are in disagreement with what the brother was saying when he was saying that we're all very different and therefore it puts a strain on any person to lead. I think there's a difference in saying, do we need a leader versus do we need leadership? And we do not need a leader, but I do believe we hunger for leadership. We are thriving, thirsting, desiring, needing leadership, mentorship. We are needing that in so many different ways, and not only from ourselves, from like you have to remember. So I've met Africans, born and raised in Africa, who first, second, third generation Africans, as far as being in America, born and raised in Africa, then being here. And I've had conversations with different things that they've experienced, different thoughts of how their perspective on things. And there's a aspect of growth this is my opinion, of growth that was stunted. Slavery. Black Americans are different from blacks around the world. Black Americans are the children of slavery. All blacks are not the children of slavery. And when you're talking about the children of slavery, when you're talking about our disposition, when you're talking about our growth and the lack of, sometimes you cannot have that discussion without discussing the root of it. So that's
I agree.
That's my 2 cents.
I agree. What you say, Shay?
I thank you so much for saying that about us seeking leadership as opposed to a leader. When I think about Martin Luther King, Dr. King, and Malcolm X, I feel like people were saying one person had to be right and another one had to be wrong because
Right.
he was doing it a different way. And who's to say who was wrong or who was right? They had different perspectives. And over time, from what I've known about them and just seen different things written about them, is like some of their perspectives had changed towards the end of their life because they had experienced things, they had seen things, they had been through a whole lot, both of them. And so that's what I agree with you. The leadership part of it. Yes, we do need that. I think what gets complicated is that when you have those different perspectives, how can we still respect what you're saying over here and still be able to work together, still be able to say, hey, you know what, I see what you're saying over here. It's a little bit different than what I'm saying, but how can we still make this work? Because at the end of the day, it's about all of us. So
Well, one of my biggest frustrations, me personally, so I could tell you my personal experience. I remember getting real hyped. My son was born in 2014, right? And we went down here. Farrakhan said he was doing this Million Man March again, right? But the name of this one was called Justice or Else. And so you asked wrong. I was so pumped. I got the shirts, the paraphernalia, flew the whole family out. We going to D.C. We going to march because they were advertising change. But this time it was different. Farrakhan said specifically, we going to go down here. We going to do something remotely close to what Dr. King was trying to do and what he did as far as going out here and march to make sure that they go change these bills, right? And so I was like, okay, so this ain't just marching in vain, right? We going out here for a cause. And so we went out there, and I would never, and so I consider myself, a Christian, right? Farrakhan is not, right? But what I'm saying to you is I went down there in unity. Forget all that. Throw all that to the side, don't matter. We down here for unity in the community, right? So we go all out here, and I remember it like it was yesterday, Carlos, Shay, Lim. You could hear a pin drop. It was over 3-4 million people there with kids, babies, everything, dogs, cats, rats. And you could hear a pin drop. Farrakhan was up there behind plexiglass speaking without saying nothing. He had everybody willing. If he would have said, let's do the Donald Trump and let's go tear down the whole Capitol building, people was that ready and ready for the war. And my man got up there with the mic and said nothing. This was your opportunity to invite or being able to say, this my young boy, he gonna take it from here, because I'm 90, I'm getting ready, I don't know how long I got to be here. Here go our next person, maybe he gonna take it from here, and this is our plan. There was no plan, and I was so agitated by being all the way down there with no action, right? And so this is where me and Lim differ, because only thing I was saying to him, Carlos, is Umar Johnson He has a plan. Now, whether it comes to fruition or not, my man has a plan. And it sounds like a really, really good plan with the school, the hospitals, and all this stuff we need. And I'm not saying shunning anyone else, but what I am saying is charity starts at home first, right? And this is this whole big thing. If we could do this for ourselves, then we don't need no help because they all follow us anyway. And what I'm saying to you is I can agree with leadership, but I also agree with leaders, because if you're a leadership, this is directing you to be a leader, because we all are supposed to be leaders in our own individual right, our own household, our own church, our own mosque, whatever you believe, you're supposed to be a leader in your own right. So that is being able to raise up new leadership, or people that's in leadership. And that's just my thought with the whole Honorable Dr. Umar Johnson and Lim feeling the way he feel about Umar Johnson. But guess what? If you know me, and those that don't know me, but if you know me, I do that all the way across the board. Ask Carlos. I always edify him. Bro, I love to see you with your family. I love to see the decisions you make. I congratulate his success every chance and every opportunity that I get, because that's what I do to edify my brother. What are you doing? So the question is, what are you doing? Not you in particular, but I want my audience to look in the mirror and to say, what are you doing? We can always point the fingers about what's not happening, but let's talk about the solution. How can we come together? That man got a plan. What's your plan? He said, let's do a hospital school, and this is how we all unify. We could do therapy. Don't put your kids on Ritalin. Everybody ain't just because they don't have an IEP. You trying to say the kids crazy because they ain't listening, attention deficit. He's saying stop all of that. He got a plan. What's your plan? That's my thought. Go ahead, Shay. I see you want something to smoke. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to say also, because I do believe in everybody being a leader. So a couple things when you were talking is that I don't know if we have anything set up where, like someone comes after you in our community. Like say you get older, like you said, right? Maybe you won't be able to hold this position at some point. Who's next in line? Do we have that in place? That's one thing. The second thing is, I don't know if everyone is comfortable to be on the front lines. So if you have financial backing, you can support that way as well. You don't necessarily have to be on the front. Everybody doesn't want to do that,
Yes.
and that's fine.
Yes.
But if you have some funds, you can bring it over here. So I just want to say that.
No, I think you're absolutely right. But in church, and I keep going back to this, but in church, if the bishop getting old, they tap on it and it's time to sit down. Like it's time for you to sit down, elder, bishop, whatever your name is, it's time. And so what I'm saying to you is, matter of fact, let me come down your aisle. Sooner or later, they're going to tap on TD Jake's shoulder, right? They're going to say, hey, Bishop, it's time you slurring your words, you're stuttering, and you ain't making no sense. It's time for you to pass the baton to your daughter, your son-in-law, somebody else. And what I'm saying to you is, it is time for different leaders, like Carlos is talking about. It doesn't have to be. I'm not saying it got to be one Moses and one for all for one. But what I am saying to you is, are you leading? And who are you leading? Because even if you are an individual leader, who you got? Who listening to you? And what you directing them to do when it comes down to Black unity for Juneteenth? Go ahead, Lynn. You want some smoke? I see you.
Yeah. So think about this. We talk about the Black church. Well, let's talk about the Black church. Why we got the apostolic faith, the Church of God in Christ, the Baptist church, AME. You got all these pastors who are leaders in their denomination. But in reality, if you brought all those churches together, as you talked about, this is what we're talking about, under a Dr. King, Malcolm X, the reason why they won't do it, let me go inside the head of the Black pastor, the Black minister. And I'm going to say this before I do that. There is a form of arrested development in the Black community, and it comes from slavery. It comes from the thought process that one man can represent us all, but most importantly, it shifts the accountability of the burden of all of this off of us as individuals and puts it on that one person's mantle, usually. And they feel it. Dr. King felt it. Malcolm X felt it, etc. But if you talk about the black church, which we have supported as black folks for a long time in this country, we can all agree on that. Whether you agree they should or not, we have. Here's what has happened. Usually, if you get those pastors together, if anybody's ever been to a church convocation, and you get all the bishops from the Church of God in Christ, all the bishops from apostolic faith in one place, in those settings, and I can tell you without even being in the room, egos are already flared. Who's going to speak at the Church of God in Christ congregation? Well, who's the senior bishop? Who's going to handle the money? That's at the church level. We ain't talking about 40 million black folks. We just talking about 10 mega churches. Bishop T, I know for a fact that Bishop T.D. Jakes charges a certain amount of money before he will come speak at a church. And I'm going to speak on that. I'll just say it. Bishop Blake, bless his heart, my bishop, has retired. He used to tell every pastor, when you come to my church, I'm not paying you $50,000 to preach. You get 10,000. I don't care if you're the bishop. I don't care if you're on TBN. I don't care what the word network is 10,000. It ain't 50. Well, Bishop, he wants close to 50. So you have these things going on. Now, these are the church leaders. Because we say that everything starts at home. These are our church leaders, the people that we like to listen to, that make us feel better. And that's another thing. Dr. Umar, your Dr. Umar has a problem with the black church, in case you don't know that. And his problem with the black church is real simple, and I'm going to let this go. How can black folks worship a white Jesus who's a representation of white America or the power structure and still call themselves trying to work for black folks? It's incongruent to do that. This is Dr. Umar's statement. This is not me saying this. He has a problem with white Jesus. And he says that's a form of brainwashing for black folks to look up to someone who does not look like you in human form. And we know the scripture in the Bible that does not describe Jesus like some man with white stringy hair and blue eyes. So I'm gonna land my plane there. Get some of this smoke.
No, let me say this, because we don't have number 2 more minutes, right? I'm gonna end with this, right? I'm gonna end with this. If you believe in a place called heaven, just if you believe that exists, just if, right? Hypothetically, if you believe that exists, you can't be oblivious to think it's gonna be all full of black people, or all full of apostolic, or AME, or Jehovah Witnesses, or whatever you believe. You can't be that oblivious, right? So what I'm saying to you is, I was willing to put down my differences to go hear what Farrakhan had to say. That's the same thing I would do with Umar. That's the same thing I would do with whoever we talk, Larry Bird, if you will. All I'm saying to you is we are in desperate need of change, right? And so what I'm saying to you is I'm willing to that's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about the problem no more. I'm not going through all the problems. I'm talking about solutions, right? So if I could put down all of that and I could stand in the church with everybody that got different beliefs, but we could have one medium that we all agree on, right? Which is love. What if we all just could agree on love? Then that way we'll all be cool. We don't have to discuss politics, religion, none of that. If we could talk about love, my love for you and your love for me, then we good, right? And we ain't even talking about sexual love, right? We talking about the love that I have to see you succeed and the love that you have to see me succeed. And guess what? That's one of the greatest commands, even in all religion, is to love whoever you love as far as your higher power and to love your neighbor. I looked at the Torah, I looked at the Quran, I looked at the Buddha. All I'm saying is it's pretty consistent. Even if you're talking about the 5% and you are God, it's to love yourself then and love your neighbor. So at the end of the day, I want to leave by saying, happy Juneteenth. I hope y'all got something from this conversation. I really appreciate my boy Carlos and my homegirl Shay. Lem, thank you so much. Thank you, Rome and Shug, for helping all this go down, put it together. We got another one good next week. I see my nephew. What up, Nick? And so I just want to say happy Juneteenth, man. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all, man. I'm out.
All right. Peace.
Peace.